Crimean nurse and citizen journalist Irina Danilovich did not return home after work on April 29, 2022. Later, her parents learned that the woman was being held in a pre-trial detention center. The Russians accused her of manufacturing and storing explosives and sentenced her to almost 7 years in prison. Irina Danilovich became one of the hundreds of Crimean political prisoners held by the Russian Federation. Russian forces have been illegally detaining and prosecuting residents of Crimea since the occupation of the peninsula. Ukrainians were illegally convicted of fabricated criminal cases of espionage, terrorism, extremism, and other similar crimes, as in the case of Irina Danilovich. FSB officers kidnapped her from a bus stop in Koktebel when she was returning home from work. For almost 2 weeks, families searched for her in hospitals, morgues, and pre-trial detention centers. During this time, she was tortured and arrested for 2 months. After the verdict, she was transferred to a penal colony in the city of Zelenokumsk in Russia. Bronislav Danilovich, Irina's father, asked the Russians to move her closer to Crimea, since he and Irina's mother are elderly people, and it is difficult for them to come to see their daughter. However, these requests were rejected. As a result, Irina's father recently died in Crimea without seeing his daughter. Russia uses the following methods of pressure on most political prisoners, regularly transferring them from one place of detention to another, often far from their homes. Moreover, Russian authorities frequently limit communication between prisoners and their families. Some are banned from using phones for various reasons, and letters go through the reviewing procedure for weeks or even months. After the beatings in the FSB office in the first 2 weeks of her disappearance, Irina began to suffer from pain in her left ear and constant noise. In almost 2.5 years, Irina was never fully examined by doctors. Meanwhile, the woman became completely deaf in her left ear. The occupiers treat all political prisoners with the same indifference. They are denied medical care and treatment, even in critical cases.
Когда мне прихватывает сердечная боль, это случается вечером или ночью. Я не могу дозваться фельдшера. Что, хотите, чтобы меня с тюрьмы вывезли мертвым на носилках? Вы не боитесь ответственности? Перед законом, перед Богом, в конце концов.
In early 2023, 2 political prisoners, Jamil Hafarov and Konstantin Shirin, died in Russian captivity due to a lack of proper and timely medical assistance. Currently, 65 political prisoners in Russia have serious health conditions and need treatment. For 10 years, 350 people have been detained or persecuted in criminal cases in occupied Crimea. 217 of them are Crimean Tatars. At the 10 years of the war, only 10 political prisoners of Crimea were released from prisons due to exchanges between Russia and Ukraine. This became possible thanks to constant and joint pressure on Russia from other countries, politicians, diplomats, and human rights defenders.